How long does it take to write down a number? How long does it take to change a number? Imagine if I actually asked you to track your steps using pieces of paper. Not with our fancy technology that we have on our phones or the nice accelerometers that we may have on our watches. If you were to do that, every single time you took a step, you'd have to stop and write it down. Because we would end up walking faster than we can write. I mean, don't get me wrong, tracking progress is a good thing. The fact that we like to know where we are is a good thing. But the problem is we check too much. A print statement inside of code is when you print out values, so you can trace the important values that matter. But the cost of a print message is like us trying to change a number on a piece of paper with an eraser and a pencil. It costs a certain amount of time. If there's too many print statements, you're going to waste more time printing out the values than you are actually doing the operations that you're trying to do. And a lot of modern corporations do this in a way of called metrics. I'm not frowning on progress. Progress is great, especially to know where you are in the milestones of the project. But if the managers have to spend more time figuring out where they are instead of pushing forwards to get to certain milestones, the project is going to be delayed because we're checking progress so much. But here's the thing, all this micro tracking of progress, all this checking to see and checking to know if we're going to be able to finish is like distrusting your computer to know if it's going to work. Of course, automatic updates don't always work, especially if you're a Windows user. An automatic update will finish on its own. To distrust that it'll work means that you're spending resources to slow down the updates. So the best thing we can do for us then is trust in the system that is our body, trust in the system that is our mind, and trust in the system that is us. And trust in the team that we work with so the team can function as a system as well. Speaking of trust, there comes another issue. Say that you or the team is about to reach something that you previously thought or the team previously thought was impossible. Would morale go up or morale go down? Now we've created an expectation in our head that said previously this has not been done, and call it insanity, but I don't think it's going to be done again. Maybe you're adding on 5 more pounds onto a lift. Maybe you're trying to increase production but have previously only been able to create 5,000 modules in one day, or previously accomplish a certain amount of tasks in that day, and now you've just added on another metric. Well, now your brain and the people on your team's brain is processing that information. Not only do we have a new expectation, but we now have something that is wasting thought in our mind and preventing us from doing that impossible task. When I was doing my first PRs with Coach Mateo, there was a trick that we found out. At a certain point, he stopped telling me how much he added. He stopped telling me how much it weighed, and all I had to do was focus on lifting. And surprisingly, almost every time I made a lift, it felt exactly like the previous set, because the limitation and the expectations were not in my mind. But when I was doing my own PRs, now I knew how much weight I added, and I could make an interpretation in my head of how much more I need to put in or how much heavier that's going to be. But even though some people may think that they're able to multitask, even though some people may believe that multitasking is the optimal route, what if you could dedicate 100% of your brain power, your willpower, whatever you want to call it, to just doing what you need to do? Can you imagine what you could do? Now, I'm not saying that you're going to be able to multiply your weight just because your friend decided to trick you and multiply the amount of weight that they put on the barbell by 3 times. But assuming that we are stepping at a constant rate, assuming that we are making conscious efforts into increasing our workload, increasing our goal load, increasing whatever we're trying to do, then eventually, at some point, if we stop focusing on how much we're adding in and focus purely on what we're trying to do, I can guarantee that our limits, our goals, will be broken almost that much easier, because now we've given our mind the one and only thing it needs to do, and that is focus on that one thing that is our goal and that one thing that is what we want to do.